Alright, hello everybody and welcome back to the house in Fata Morgana. I'm sorry for the last video because I kinda needed to step out for a while, but we're back. And where we last left off, the blood of the Holy One. This is Morgana's story. And I think it was at the end of Morgana's story, or I don't know if it's the end of the Morgana story or there's still stuff we need to read. But we're gonna find out now. My vision is distorted. My mind thick with fog. I feel like I fall into a bottomless pit if I loosen my grip on my consciousness even I feel like I will fall into a bottomless pit if I loosen my grip on my consciousness even lightly. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm. What? Reflected in a pool of blood. I see my face. Large chunks of flesh peel off. Oh. Hahaha, look at you trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. How pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self. I can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhuman fate. Can't mourn for her. Or be shocked by the revelation about the three men and her history with them. Pain. It fills every corner of my mind. Every nook and cranny of my body. You figure it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You will never make it to me. It's not possible. But it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. I mean, you did. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? But all you have to do is turn back. And it will all go away. No. I want to say no. The witch whispers her sweet temptations. You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel. Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine. Concede the veto. If I do, it will all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump on my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the windows. My miserable wailing and this maddening hatred. I can end it all. That's right. It will all be over. You have the power to make it stop. Make it all stop. No, no. I need to be fast. I feel like they're gonna throw a decision at me. No. I can't let that happen. No, I have to get her back at my side. I'll do anything to take her back. Even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat. I will not give up on her for any reason. Hehehe. You won't, will you? Oh, such a beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl, like a hero of legend, or maybe a fairy tale prince. No, I am no hero and I am no prince. I am human, an ordinary man. I don't have any extraordinary potential. I am not a courageous leader or a charismatic general. I am just a regular man, in love with a regular woman, who refused to lose her. I don't need any other accomplishments, only that. That's all I need. Because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how much you cut me up. Nothing changes what I have to do. I have to take her back and set her free of this mansion, nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Oh, we're back. Arms or no? As long as I can move, I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up. To the top of the tower. Forward. Ever forward. Ever onward. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind. I once more arrive at the top of the observation tower. I place my hand on the door, holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath. Then lift my head, gaze onto the void, and shouted her name. Morgana! I pity you, I truly do. You are a saint shackled with an unfortunate fate, and for that I'm enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those 3 men. If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyways. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So what do you say the 3 of us, me, you, and Giselle, torture the 3 of them and everyone they cared about? Make them suffer here for all eternity in this house. And that way, you and Giselle can be together forever too. That's not an option. Why not? Because hatred only brings you pain. Ha! Oh, that's brilliant! You spouting stupid platitude at me. I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about how hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. No, you're not. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me, really? Ah, how disappointing. And here I thought you understood me. Morgana, Why don't you say what you really think? Go right on ahead, hate them as much as you want. But keep me and Giselle out of it. Why didn't you just say that? I do feel bad, truthfully, for all the time we spent together. Never once did I ask about your life. I was so focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away. That you did. You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out. I wish I had asked you sooner. It wouldn't have changed anything though. One funny man knowing what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. It would have turned out the same regardless. There was nothing you could have done for me. There is nothing. Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you carry in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, I could have chosen some other response. I cannot remain in this house. Nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present. Well, in that case, open the door, Michel, damn it. I take another moment to catch my breath. And then I gather my strength onto the hand of the door, into the hand of the door, on the door. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. It reminds me of my debt. I'm coming for you. I push open the door. Praying that it will only be the last. Praying that it will be the last. That beyond it lies light for Giselle. And if possible, that it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. What? We're in the bedroom. However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appeared from the shadows of my chamber, I can't conceal my surprise. Giselle. Giselle. Is this another illusion, Morgana? No, it's not. I am the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me. This does not feel right for some reason. She's thanking me. So why isn't she smiling? That was a very kind and courageous of you, Michel. I'm deeply moved you would have such compassion not only for her, but for someone like me. But do you know what else you are? A dumbass? A worm. What is it this time, Morgana? What do you say we pull back the curtains, my dear? What curtains? The one detail that hasn't yet come to light. Michel's backstory? This isn't your first return to the mansion, isn't it? You've been back You've been back numerous times. Each time not remembering her, and each time hurting her even more. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? Oh, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in their rightful place, and you alone were some exception? I never. Tell me, how was it? Living in so many different eras, not knowing who you are, and playing with all the different men. No, you're out of your mind. You make it sound like I was... Not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl. No, that's a trick. Enough. How could anyone possibly confuse me with her? To tell you the truth, I couldn't see you as anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me what about you isn't the same. We're not the same person. I saw the letter. What? The one you had hidden. No. And you didn't think that was worth mentioning. What is? No, Giselle, I didn't mean... You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. He deceived you. He kept a very important secret from you. Despite showing up before you multiple times, he cast you aside again and again. No, that wasn't me. It wasn't. It all makes sense now. Nothing you ever did was for me. What? Giselle, I don't understand. Go on, Giselle. Tell him exactly how you feel. This is an illusion. Michel. Please don't say it. No, not that. Please, I'm begging you. Stop. Please don't, Giselle. Not actually. Please. Don't say it. A man at all, are you? What? You're disgusting. What? I'm confused. You're the only one it could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl. The next moment, my whole world comes tumbling down. I could have borne anything else. Losing my arm, having my face torn off. Any amount of pain I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. But this, hearing those words, coming from your mouth, being rejected by you, that I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive. And you're the one person I never wanted to hear them from. When I learned my father Antonin had passed, I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I had found the courage to face my mother, who opened up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her I wasn't cursed. So I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear Mother, there's something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please hear me out. And I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son. I am Michel, not Michel, not Micheli. I have found someone whom I care dearly. Wait, what? I found someone whom I care for dearly. A woman. And I love her with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much. Simply to have a quiet life with her. To go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer female. I am a man. My heart is male, and I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dearest son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed. What? I was killed. Oh yeah, oh right. I'm dragged down against my will into the darkness. Beneath me spread my own past. My door. The door I swore never to open. But despite all my efforts to resist the door sucks me in. Into a world I never wanted to see again. A history I never wanted to reveal. A past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. Was I originally a girl? The seventh door. 1086 to blank. There were two things out of the ordinary about that baby. First, its parents embraced, and the second, they wholly rejected. Although, it was some time before the baby's second particularly... Wait, what? It was some time before the baby's second particularly emerged. And until it finally did, no one was any the wiser. Not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed that brief period of happiness before her child finally realized the truth. Blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to, that she let loose a curse upon the world. A curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. Ooh, this is different. Antonin. My god, look at that. Lady. She's beautiful, isn't she? So I was born a girl. Have you seen her laugh? Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, the color certainly is something else. God's gift to us. No, she's an angel sent from heaven. An angel. Yes, I can see it now, Ladiel. Her white hair and almost translucent skin is its beauty. My, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? What? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such a deep enchanting color. Like two low jewels. That they are. A magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. And this is our child. She is special, I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name, one that's just as special as her. Have you already chosen one, Antonin? You're the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already had to rack my brain for the boys' names. Now it's your turn. Are you really going to let me? My, that's quite a lot of pressure. Her name... Name her after an angel, then. Oh, I like that. Alright, then. We call him Michel, or Michael. Michel, after the Archangel Michel. Michael, Michel. Whatever. You grow up to be beautiful as an angel, my Michel. I always wanted a little girl. With her snowy white hair, skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes. She was a very particular looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name, Michel. Michel. Ah. Checkmate. Diddler. Delider. Gah. Ah, I see, that's what you did. Curse, I completely overlooked that. I thought you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion. You're too short-sighted, Diddler. You need to look at the big picture. Sometimes it's the tactician and not the soldier holding the sword. You got me. You're quite good at this, Michel. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy? It's not an inspiration. It was diversion. Diversion. Chess, in it many ways, similar to the real war tactics. Chess is in many ways similar to real war tactics. My military texts. You haven't read all of them, have you? I have nothing but time. Impressive. Even if I haven't read all the books in my room. Even I haven't read all the books in my room. You planning to join the order with that kind of knowledge? You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Diddler. Psh, why do I keep calling him Diddler? Dialer. That I am. War is the men's job, after all. I want you to be there, to welcome me home. Who's you? Diddler, oh Diddler. George. I'm in a bit of a bind. Oh, hello there, Michel. I didn't know you were home, George. Yep, just got back. Yep. Woohoo! Playing a chess again, are ya? Let's see. What do we have here? Get away from the board. Yikes! You got trounced at. And you call yourself her big brother? Ha ha ha. As if you're any better. Oh, he's the brother. That's not funny, George. I cannot approve of someone who can't keep up with the flow of battle, becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers. What are you worried about? What are you worried about me? No, I'm saying. I've been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel after all. Where's the logic in that? I'm sorry to interrupt your, moment, but does anyone listen to me? Now, don't pout. So what seems to be the problem, George? Yes, listen to this. The royal court is holding a swordsmanship show. And for some reason I was selected to participate. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. Hey now, that is mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers. They're covered in calluses. Dainty calluses. Tell me, why would they have an artist sword fight? That's the whole point, I would think. No need to get so worked up. No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? I'm going to lose, that's a given. But I want to do it in style. I feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Now come on, time's a-wasting. To the country yard we go. Just so you know, if I train you, I'm going to train you right. All I want to know is how to look good. What is it, Michel? May I watch? Fine with me, but you know, you can't go aside. Right, your white skin. I'll be watching from the hall. I can open one of the windows facing the courtyard. Still, you need to be careful. You can't spend too much time in the sun. I know. I had two older brothers. The eldest, Daedalus, belonged to an order of knights that served the church. What is this, the Crusades? What era are we in? Alright, 1086, alright. And below him was George, who served as a court artist. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property. Nevertheless, the Bolganer's family name was upheld by Daedalus. And then there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Wait, what? Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. I rarely left the estate. My will was contained entirely within these walls. And perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my two brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Dietler plays chess with me, and George taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply. And it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. But the reason given was not that I was weak, but I was a girl. But that I was a girl, okay. And with each passing year, that smoldering frustration at the back of my heart grew larger. Come on, put your back into it. Like I said, all I want is to put on a good show. Oh, you're putting quite a show, unless you learn how to swing that sword properly. Give me a break. No. Out in the garden, my two brothers traded swings, bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. And every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain, like a needle piercing my chest. A needle that seems to be growing ever thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. At first I thought that was the root of my pain. But that answer seems to contradict something inside me, something I couldn't explain. Something I couldn't ignore even as a child. So I searched within myself, trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Day after day I gazed into the cavern of my own heart. My, now what are the two of them doing out there? George was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the royal court, so Dietler is helping him. Swordsmanships? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous. I can't watch people swing them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michel? I would love to teach you how to sew. But Mom, I want to watch them practice. Michel. First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. Okay, Mother. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys. As your mother, I don't approve of you playing chess or making art. A woman has no need for such skills. They will only make you look insolent. But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother. Now come. I'd rather you look at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. Yes, Mother. You're my little girl after all. Spending time with my mother was agonizing. It was because her world was Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, the sweet scent of her perfume, the way she constantly told me how much she loved me, and a diatribe about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. Above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl after all." And there was nothing strange about that at all. Every time I look in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I was faced with the reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Everything she taught me I would need when I was wed off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. I couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Daedalus' room than having a conversation with my mother. The tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers. Military texts written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them sets my heart aflutter, and make me think about my brother. Hey, that rhymed. He was training to be a knight. I envisioned the armor flecked with rust. A long sword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in my fantasies, imagining how the sword would feel in my hands. The sensation of the hilt beneath my finger, swinging it gallantly like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle will I need to carry it? A lot. How much impact would I feel in my hands when I struck something? How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? I had no way of answering any of those questions, though. Georges. Kill me now! I have some cloth if you'd like to wipe yourself off. Oh yeah, thanks. I'm so dead. You were at it for a long time. I've never known D to half-ass something once he gets started. Which, I guess, is what makes him knight material, but are you opposed to him becoming a knight? Well, you know, I'm kinda assumed he'll inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like why he gotta go and be some priest whipping boy. Don't tell him I said that, though. He wants to fight for the greater good. I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anywho, someone who as passionate as him might be able to make changes for the better. Changes. He knows what condition the order is in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape. Melt him down and reforge the whole thing. So he might be able to change things. What? What are you muttering about, Michel? Hey, whoa, hold it. The pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emancipating off of George's body, when I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him. Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the order as well? It was positive. I positive it would. Michel. Titler. Michel, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change. We need to talk. I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walking on a man changing as he's changing. I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious. Listen to me, Michel. George is telling me you're planning to overhaul the order. He told you that. No, I hardly have such grand aspirations. Don't be coy. I believe you have what it takes to do it, Diddler. Diddler. What's gotten into you? You're unusually fiery today. So I want to ask you a favor. When you have enough influence in the order, I would like you to make me a knight too. You what? I'm tired of the way Mother treats me. Always saying I can't do this or that because I'm a girl. I want to learn how to swing a sword. I don't want to do embroidery. I don't care about jewelry or fancy clothing. Michel, what's gotten into you? I'm so much more interested in the world you live in, Diddler. So please. Well, LB. I suppose we must have let ourselves spend too much time with you. Not you too. What exactly? That's exactly what Mother said. First of all, Michel, you don't have the strength to hold a sword. Then I'll train until I do. And if that doesn't work, I still have my mind. You know good and well I could. People are not chess pieces, Michel. But Diddler, above all, you're missing the most important points. I will not, for any reason, become the kind of man who makes a woman take up a sword. Diddler, this may seem normal to you, growing up with two brothers. But I want you to listen to me, Michel. Men and women walk different paths. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies. And they do so to protect the weak, women and children. I'm here to protect you and your mother. You're no different than her. You don't treat me any different than her. Honestly, what has gotten into you, Michel? Why wouldn't I treat you like a daughter of the Volganer's estate? Your brother and I, we never meant to make you think. Forget it. What? I'm sorry, I knew what I was asking. I knew what I was asking was foolish. Oh. But I thought you would understand how I feel. Even just a little bit. What was I expecting him to understand? Even I didn't understand the things I felt. I wanted to know what had gotten into me far more than he did. What I had done was no better than throw a temper tantrum. Was I that desperate to become a knight? No. I had just thought that the key to the chains in my heart lay down that road, but ultimately there was nothing. Assuming Diddler had agreed, and assuming that I did become a knight, it wouldn't do anything for the core problem. As I dashed from my brother's room, I snuck a peek at him. His face was filled with an intense perplexity. And how could I blame him? I tried to push a dozen different ideals onto him at once. Fill myself with the vain hope that he would somehow be able to make sense of me when I couldn't even make sense of myself. And now, bubbling with unwarranted anger, bubbling with unwarranted anger at being let down, I fled my own chambers. I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been for him. It was the spring of my 14th year. Heavy cloud fills the sky, blocking out the sun and giving the impression of a late evening all throughout the day. I, for one, preferred it when the sun wasn't out. Not that sunlight will kill me, but if it was bright enough, the whole world was so white I could hardly see a thing. Which meant I could only go outside on the days when the weather made Which meant I could only go outside on days when the weather made most everyone else gloomy. As I was meandering through the courtyard, I spotted someone I'd never seen before. A warm breeze blew past me, sending up a swirl of flower petals. The girl dress hung slightly over her frame, tracing her gentle curves. "Who are you?" I asked bluntly, and the girl twirled around, smiling. "Wait, Amy. Where have I heard that name? I know that name. That was the guy." Wait, no, that wasn't the guy. "My apologies. You just have such a beautiful courtyard here. I've let myself in for a little walk." Long chestnut hair flowed over round feminine shoulders. It swayed slightly in the wind. The clouds of melancholy dissipated in the light of her smile. "You must be Michel. You're just as pretty as I heard. And you are..." "My name is Amy. It's a pleasure to finally meet..." Isn't that... I know that name, but I can't remember who is that. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Finally meet me? What was she talking about? I stood there baffled by this strange woman. She stepped towards me, kissing me softly on the cheek. I'm thrilled to make your acquaintances, Michel." Her voice was like someone pouring honey into my ear, electrifyingly sweet. "I am George's fiancé." And it also stuck another needle into my chest. She was a noble girl by the name of Amy Judibert. Though only 15, she was the very image of refined polish to a shine. No one had told me my brother was to be married. It came out of nowhere, and it seems I was the only one who didn't know. That evening, when the family gathered around the table for supper, Amy was there too. And they prepared an extravagant feast for the occasion. My father, Antonin, looked so proud of his two boys, idlers soon to receive his Simon and George seemed to be wed. The banquet proceeds smoothly. Not a doubt in the air that we were a happy family. But my mind was elsewhere. I found myself unconsciously tracing Amy with my eyes, watching the way those slender fingers gripped her spoon, her full lips parting to allow a piece of fruit in, her deep red tongue visible for but the briefest of moments. The way all the muscles in her face seemed to relax in bliss as sweet juices seep into her mouth. The way she spoke, so soft and gentle, letting each sound hang in the air just briefly before intoning the next. She was distinctly feminine in a different way than my mother. Apparently Amy was going to be living at the Boganers' estate for some time. My mother was pleased to have another girl around. Or more specifically, she was relieved to have found someone other than my brothers for me to spend time with. I had assumed I would hate being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. Michel. One night Amy's family and an array of nobles from both social circles assembled at the estate for a party. A din the likes of which I had never heard in my life filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked there were people. Servants scrambled every which way, silverware clang against dishes in an almost constant hum. Voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill. Hey D, I feel like we're critically short on waiters. This don't look good for us. And who was it who went about inviting everyone he came across again? Who are those people? They're artists like me. I met them in the courts. Let's see, we have some painters, composers, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it. None of them have any connection to the Jurors or the Boganers. Sure they do. They're my friends. And you know, this is me and Amy's party. You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold. Off in one corner, several men, presumably George's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jackets' cuffs. Their manner of speech, the way they held themselves. They were simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed diddler's ideal party, yes. Why do I keep calling him diddler? Even watching them from afar, it was clear my two brothers ran in very different crowds. The only reason headstrong Diddler and free-spirited George were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those interactions would be quite rocky. George's... Hey, come here, guys. George shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends, and then led them to where I stood. What are you doing hiding in this corner, Michel? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends. No, George put his hand on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socialization was the last thing on my mind. I searched for Dialer, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from me. Don't know what that means. This is my baby sister, Michel, be nice. George, I don't. Grace, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. And why have you never brought me to her? Wait, what? And why have you never brought her with you to the court? She'll be a sure hit. And how old are you now? 12, mayhaps? Now, don't treat a lady like a child. You just call her your baby sister. I have you know she's 14. All the more reason she should be out there making friends. The whole court flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, Georges. Don't be a brute, my man. Our little angel had to be kept inside for personal reasons. Oh, that sounds like I haven't... Oh, that sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I have yet to even properly introduce myself. How rude indeed. The laughs grated on my nerves, and so did the way George spoke as though I was his property. They looked like they were praising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I had been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, and the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe in search of curves. Damn. I was indeed underdeveloped for 14, but what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Amy's or my mother. Now then, milady, a proper greeting. The man got down on one knee before me. What the fuck? For a split second I didn't comprehend what he was doing. Come on, Michel. He's waiting. He whispered into my ears. That was when it all came back to me, the traditional greeting performed between man and woman. Come on, Michel, don't tell me you forgot what to do. I knew. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules, shown me the procedure. I was to present my hand to the man for him to kiss. All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against a simple act. The thought of that man putting his lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why? Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through this? Michel! But at the sound of George's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. And then I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As a Walton, his social interactions may have been. Wait, what? As Walton as his social interaction may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brothers' names. Also, by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way to do do it required he simply mimic the act rather than make real contact. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged, and reverently took my hand in his. And then he pressed his lips firmly against my skin. There was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moments. What do you... Reflectively, I smacked the man's hand away. George's eyes went wide with horror. The man gave another playful shrug. I was merely offering you a greeting, milady. Is even that a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious. I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead. What? Michel! Hey, come back here, Michel. I had spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers. But now I couldn't bear it. Now I wouldn't hear a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and the other people tried to stop me too. But I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the great hall. I feel so dirty. You called that a greeting? No, that was no greeting. That was... I'll be taking that. I say practically wiping a glass of water off the passing waiter's tray. Oh. Why did I wash my hands by the window facing the courtyard? But no matter how much water I poured over it, it wouldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else, anything else, even pain. Think before you act, George. What were you doing inviting people like that into our home? I was angry. I had every right to be. He had not performed a proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business to actually putting his lip on my hand. It was not acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. That wasn't very nice that you're running off like that. At the sound of his voice, I couldn't turn back. I felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. The man from the great hall grabbed me by the wrist, spun me around, and pressed me against the wall. The bitter scent of wine wafted from above. What the hell are you doing? I tried a second time to get away from him, and that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster wasn't enough to make the man's head bulge. My arms were locked in place. I didn't think he was especially strong either. He was hardly built like Daedalus, and still I couldn't move an inch. You got a tongue like a boy, milady. But I know some people aren't fond of that these days. I can't say I mind it myself. Let go. Had I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this bird's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body? Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster, I promise you that. Then why are you holding me against a wall? because I want a chance to try and woo you. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there, but the second I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper. Then let go of me. But if I do that, you'll run away. And it's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. Your brother says you can't go outside, so if I set you loose now, you might never get a chance to I might never get a chance to catch you again. I wanted to vomit. Apparently, taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going. If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this as an opportunity to get familiar? Not a half bad idea if I do say so myself. And I think we get along quite well. Besides, I am a minstrel. Mr. Drill, whatever it is. Spend some time with me, and I'll write you all the songs you could possibly want, and some type of songwriter. You could get away from me. No, you really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. With a muse like that, I could write the most incredible songs you've ever heard. I said, get back, you creep. That's odd. That one never failed me. The man brought his face in just inches from mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot wine stench breath against my cheeks. Oh god. It gave me the chills. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing. Go try your luck with someone else. I am not interested. You'll be soon enough, darling. Fuck you. You've simply never known a man you should have got kicked by now. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer and closer. The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I only felt. I could only feel. I couldn't move. My body wouldn't bulge. In my mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it into his jaw. Again and again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again and again I beat him. But reality would have none of that. Michel! Hey, what do you think you're doing? 3 seconds, 10 seconds longer. I had no idea how much time I had lost. But the next thing I knew, George had the man by the collar. I fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly at the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a crowd. While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away. And I only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why? Why couldn't I do anything? The last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation. Only magnify how wretched I was. Only make me more effete. I bit down on my lips hard. I had no need for that trash on my body. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash on my body. All of this, every last bit of it. That was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me. But after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips, and it felt incredibly right. God damn it. I knew good and well a girl should not be using such words. Even Daedalus and George would have gotten an earful from mother or a father if they were caught saying that. Regardless. God damn it! It was the most fitting word I could come up with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame. That all it will accomplish was making me look pitiful. But if I would take that over crying like a girl any day, but I will take that over crying like a girl any day. I let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, and then started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it. And of this body. But in that case, what did I want from my body? Michel, may I come in, Michel? It was George's voice, slightly muffled through the door. The man who had invited those people into this house. I would be lying if I said I didn't hold that against him. Michel. But at the same time, he had come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. Despite myself for being so helpless. I'm sorry, Michel. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, George stepped into my room. Your hair is a mess, Michel. My God, you're bleeding. That was when I first noticed the stinging sensation in my lower lip. Metallic taste spread through my mouth. I've been biting it much harder than I realized. And there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it running down my chin seconds from spilling into my own clothes when George wiped it away. I'm really sorry, Michel. He can be a real ass when he drinks. He's a bit of a womanizer at that. I never expected he would try to go after you though. I'm really sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. But you know, there's a chance he may have generally taken a liking to fuck you. That just makes it worse. Sorry. You're right. You want to be with a man like you want to be with a man you like, I understand. He ran his hand through my hair as if trying to calm me down, but at the same time cleaning up the mess I had made of it. It made me feel like I was some kind of plaything. A joke of a doll. I don't. Huh? I don't want to be with anyone. I would never ever be comfortable with a man putting his hand on me like that. However, I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michel. Someone that feels right for you. I feel kind of awful for introducing you to him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that will change soon. It's a part of growing up. You'll be best off forgetting today ever happened. I was dead certain, but apparently that wasn't enough to convince him. The very idea that I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have any aversion to men. In fact, I enjoy spending time with my brothers as far more than indulging my mother in her woman's world. What I couldn't stand was the particular look men would sometimes give me. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answer. My thoughts were only going in circles. Are you okay, Michel? He peered me down with his face twisted in concern. But I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger, my frustration, my irritation, my fear. I had no confidence he would understand. George, how is Michel? Oh, it's Amy. Amy's voice came from the doorway. I quickly felt like someone had struck their hand in my chest and now squeezing at my heart. Like I had been caught in a compromising situation by the last person I wanted to see me. Ah, yeah, she's doing good, aren't you? Yes, I'm fine. Glad to hear it. I was clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I said that. But that seemed to have gone over George's head. Amy, on the other hand, you don't look fine at all, she said, a hint of pain in her voice, and then entered the room. George's father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I will stay here with her. Oh, is he? Alright then. Sounds good. Once the sound of George's footsteps had faded into nothing, Amy took a seat beside me and without warning wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this. My heart leaped into my throat. But beyond the shock, I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's. That must have been terrifying. But don't worry, you're safe now. It wasn't really, no. No need to pretend to be. If a man had pinned me against a wall, I'd be scared too. I mean it, I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed at myself. Alright, I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michel. There aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give George a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover. You're a lot more tedious than I thought. Tedious than I thought. As a woman in this world, you have to be. If you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michel. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure it will still be difficult to forget what happened to you today. George had told me to forget it as soon as possible, and Amy that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspective, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. As my head rested against her breast, I feel my frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong. I couldn't believe that I was really so weak. That's just the way of the world, Michel. Men are physically stronger than women, so you will almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself. Though it wasn't the conclusion I had hoped for, her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice. And I alone knew how foolish I was in doing so. How long has this video been going on? An hour, damn. Should I stop it here? Nah, let's go on a little bit. Amy frequently visited my chambers. I didn't know if it was at Mother's request or for her own violation, but I prayed it was the latter. She was a very touchy-feely person, and she seemed to have a particular fondness for playing with my hair. Whenever her voice danced its way into my ears, it would wreak havoc inside me. Being enveloped in her scents day after day stoked the fire growing within me. I did my best to remain as straight-faced as possible, because the last thing I wanted was her catching on. I understood that the things I was feeling were untoward to say the least. Your hair is so utterly enchanting. I never seen hair so white before. I think having color is much prettier. Oh, well, George says white is the most difficult color to make with paint. Really? Oh yeah, I guess so. There's no greater challenge than capturing the beauty of true white. Living with such a splendid example of the color must have given him a very high standard of quality. Say, Michel, maybe you could tell me about yourself today. I would love to get to know you better. Tell you about myself. Yeah, we could become even better friends if we found out some mutual interests. I enjoy playing chess, and I consider myself quite good. Oh my, chess. I never played. You're such a bright girl, Michel. Would you like to try? I could teach you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll pass. I doubt it would be any good. Oh, okay. What else is there? Say your favorite kind of flower, fragrance, color of gemstone. Are there any embroidery patterns you're particularly skilled at? I don't have any favorites now. I'm not especially good with a needle either. No. Do you have shaky hands then? I wouldn't say that, no. I'm fairly good with a knife, I think. A knife? Oh, like a kitchen knife. No, a sculpting knife. Sculpting? Is that really so strange? It is a bit unusual, I'll say. But George does it all the time. His room is practically made of wood chips and charcoal and paint. George is an artist and a man. There's nothing unusual about him doing some sculpting. Why is it okay for him but not me? Does being a girl really makes that much of a difference? Well, why don't we practice embroidery together, Michel? I get the feeling you spend too much time with your brothers. But now you have me. I'm sure it won't be long before you appreciate how much fun cooking and needlework can be. She sounds just like Mother. And she gives me the same, and she gives the same reason too. Because I'm a girl. But that's not an explanation. It's a vague generalization. Said that if I agree, I can spend more time with her. Okay. Wonderful, we'll come up with a beautiful design together. And when you've made something you're proud of, you can give it to a boy who catches your eyes. Or, if you prefer, you could give it to your father or your brother. I'd like George to have what I make, though. Oh, I've been wondering, did you and George meet at the royal court? Oh, heavens no. I have never been to the court. One day my father told me I was getting married. And the next day is when we first met. It happened that quickly. What? Are you worried about me, Michel? Don't worry. I'm not displeased with the arrangement. In fact, I'm quite happy with it. Aristocrat marriages are almost always sudden. And as a woman, you'll get used to it, used to being a piece in their games. But George, he's different. He's a gentleman. A gentleman? Him? You sound surprised. I believe hedoness suits him better. Oh, I quite disagree. I have complete faith he'll do good by me. I couldn't fathom whether she found such confidence in him. I couldn't fathom where she found such confidence in him. Especially a man she had only just met. How could she trust him at all? She was nothing but a pawn, and she knew it. So maybe she was simply putting on an act. I had trouble believing her smile was anything but genuine, though. One day you'll meet the right man for you, Michel. And he won't be drunk like the guy from earlier. He'll be kind, hard-working, respectable man. I would rather not find anyone. Yeah, I suppose this is all still too soon for you, huh? Say, how old are you, Michel? 14. Oh wow, I assumed you were younger. Do I really look that young? No hard feelings. You're just like a tiny little doll, so small and slender. And look, not one bit of meat up there at all. Hey. She playfully grabbing me from behind. It started prodding at my chest. As her delicate fingers slid across my skin, I found myself gripped by very indecent urges. Every lump of my heart felt sinful. Every thump of my heart felt sinful. She couldn't know I couldn't let her. Everything I had been fighting to keep down came hurling to the surface. You're so cold, you know that. She was touching me like it was nothing, caressing my hair. Was she this intimate with George? Was it because I was a younger girl that she was so keen on putting her hands all over me? Before I could understood that what I was feeling, my body acted. It was pure, unfiltered impulse. In my attempts to escape from her grip, I twisted around only to find my face inches away from Amy's, slowly gravitating closer. I pressed my lips against the corner of her mouth. Amy sat there flabbergasted. I was equally aghast. I'm sorry. As I frankly put some distance between us, I'm sure my face was red as an apple, though I didn't know it at the time. Well, that was certainly unexpected. I'm sorry, did I make you uncomfortable touching you so much? Amy was smiling though, it looked forced. No, not at all. Then I must have startled you. I'm sorry if I had let you go sooner. We could have avoided this accident. What do you mean, accident? A kiss on the lip is... It wasn't an accident. What? It wasn't, Amy. I seem to have confused you somewhat, Michelle. What? I know I can be very touchy-feely with you. And you took that to mean you should do the same. No. You can't do that again, alright? If you want to kiss your friends, you do it on the cheek. Save the lips for the man you love. I should get going then. George starts getting cranky if I don't give him enough attention. Oh, hold on, Amy. So long, Michelle. She wouldn't hear me out. Once Amy had fled my chambers, that was when I finally comprehended my own emotions. That she had stolen my heart. But Amy was George's fiancée. No, that wasn't the problem. My body was not meant for her love. Usually. I awoke in the middle of the night to pain in my joints. Not enough exercise, I guess. I tried bending and stretching my arms, but it did nothing. So after pondering on it for a bit, I decided to go for a late night walk to distract myself. As I approached the corridor adjacent to the courtyard, I heard a woman's voice. I'm still concerned about staying here. Amy's voice. Doing my best to remain perfectly quiet, I pressed myself against the wall by the window and listened on their conversation. I knew it wasn't proper to eavesdrop, but the sound of her voice had me frozen in place. It's Michelle. I'm afraid I have confused her. A tiny jolt ran down my spine, my muscles all tensing up at once. The sound of my name rising to her lips. But not in the way I would have liked. She kissed me. Well, almost, but how could I have guessed that she thought of me that way? Mother told me she didn't have any female friends, and asked me to be one of hers, which is why... So she had only been coming to see me because Mother had asked her to do. I had been afraid of that. Afraid that she wasn't there to be with me. Afraid she had no fondness for me. That my yearning for her was one-sided. She kind of scares me the way she looks at me. Always watching my every little move I make. I'm sensitive to that sort of thing. I can tell what's going through Michelle's mind. I managed to deflect it this time, but I should have never gotten friendly with her. She had seen through me from day one. Understood what I was feeling before I even had. It's disgusting. Homosexuality. Homosexuality. Did I hear her right? Something inside me crumbled. And with it came an immense sense of wrongness. There it was again. That overpowering discomfort. That fear coursing through my veins. That repulsion. that irritation, that apprehension. What on earth was I? Did I view Amy as a member of the same sex? Were the things I felt homosexual? I heard Amy sigh from beyond the window. Then the man beside her, who she was confiding all this in, replied, "She's still just a child." That voice. And one with underdeveloped social skills besides. Understand that she's going to do and say some inappropriate things. It's not uncommon for a child to mistake admiration for love. And I didn't know this until recently, but when she gets something into her head, she has the tendency to run with it without thinking. Was not the man I had assumed it was. Daedalus. The other day she asked me to let her be a knight. I can't imagine how she thought that would end any other way. Why? It's not very often there are women other than mother in the at the estate. I imagine she simply got nervous being around you and something got mixed up in her head. Why was Daedalus out there with her? I hope that's all it was. Amy, hadn't you told me? You thought George was a gentleman. So what were you doing? Getting so friendly with Daedalus. And Daedalus, weren't you my ally? Or was that all an act like her? You were going to be a knight. So why were you out here with your brother's fiancée? I'm glad to have you here, so I hope you can figure something out to make it work. I'll do what I can, but I'm kind of reluctant to say this to you. But something has to change. As it is, she kind of grosses me out. She grosses me out. So what? I was some kind of sick, disgusting creature. All I had done was show feelings for her. I couldn't be George or Daedalus. The needles piercing me expanded, both in size and in number. Soon I was being skewered by a dozen of them, and the heat sighs raising from the courtyard only served to make the pain worse. All I could do was cover my ears and run. Why? What were you doing out there, Daedalus? How am I gross, Amy? It's not real. It's all a bunch of lies. This entire house is nothing but a fraud. None of it was ever real. The family gatherings, Amy's smiles, Daedalus' kindness, George. What about George? Did he agree to marry knowing about them? What the hell they were thinking? You want to know who's really disgusting? God damn it. I will not cry. I will not cry. I can't let myself. Girl cries. The tears are for girls, not for me. I bit down hard on my lip, wrapped myself in my sheets, and pressed my hand against hard over my ears. Squeezed my eyes shut as tight as I could manage. Tried to get away from the things I have seen. Images of them embracing in the night threatened to float back to the surface, but I shook my head, casting them off. praying I wouldn't have any nightmares. I drifted off to sleep. The next day I woke with a terrible fever. I hovered in a sweltering wave of heat, unable to tell dream and reality apart, listening to a seamlessly endless stream of crackling noises. The sounds were coming from inside my body. I thought I was falling apart. Mother was horribly worried. I had never been the most healthy child, but I've never fallen this ill either. I couldn't get out of bed. My voice was raspy like an old woman's. I was genuinely afraid I would wither away and die. Mother called in a doctor after doctor, called in out doctor after doctor to see me, but they all said it was the flu. That bodily pain was common with a fever. While there was a doctor in the house, Mother was able to remain relatively calm. But once they were gone, anxiety came back. She stayed with me day and night, even foregoing sleep. Her hands gripped mine. They held me fast. She had her head bowed as if in prayer. Don't worry, it will be alright, Michel. God is watching over you. He will protect you. You are His child. You are His angel sent to earth. He will not forsake you. The doctors say it's just the flu. Though her words seemed to be directed at me, there was a vacantness in her voice, as if they were really for herself. For so long she had wanted a daughter. I couldn't understand her fixation. But seeing her there, through my cloudy eyes, I wanted to apologize for ever thinking spending time with her was agonizing. How are you feeling? Your mother is here for you, don't worry. But the only sound that came from my mouth was a faint gasp. I drifted in and out of sleep, Mother hands wrapped around my own. And I had numerous dreams. In my dream, I was a man. In my dreams, I was Diddlers and I was George. In my dreams, I fell in love with Amy. In my dreams, I loved her. You're disgusting. But with one word, the dreams twisted into nightmares. My body was worn into fleshy chunks, and I sunk into the darkness. Several days later, my fever was gone like it had never been there. However, what the? My voice did not recover. When I attempted to climb from my bed, the murderous pain in my joints came rushing back. Instead of my feet, I landed on my face. Ow. My voice was unbelievably deep. And the pain only got worse. Every time I took a breath, it felt like someone hammering a spike into the back of my neck. It felt like my body was falling apart. Like my dreams were becoming reality. Michel! When Mother scrambled into my chamber, I remembered the time she had spent at my bedside, and a wave of relief came over me. I reached my hand out to show vulnerability, but she didn't take it. She couldn't take it. Mother, what What's wrong with your voice, Michel? Ah, I see. You're still not feeling well, are you, Michel? A look of restrained fear on her face, Mother stepped towards me, placing her hands on my forehead. Her palm felt hot against my skin. You don't have a fever. But I hurt all over. My joints. You're still sick, Michel. But don't worry, you'll be fine in no time. Now back to bed with you. You're a girl. You're a girl, so you shouldn't be sitting on the floor. It's bad for your back. As Mother repeated the phrase, you're a girl, again and again, that nagging sense that something wasn't right grew more distinct. Was I really sick? Wait. Was Michel was Michel born a guy, but the mother wanted a girl, so she said that he's a girl? I'm confused. Was this actually my voice now? And if it was, what was I turning into? You're not a girl, you're a man. My voice was certainly not a girl's voice. They misgendered you. My voice never went back to normal though. So Mother ordered me to remain in my room. I hadn't recovered yet. As so long as I was sick, I couldn't be let out. Again, something felt wrong about her calling it a sickness, but I had no evidence to the contrary. I had no way to know I wouldn't get others sick if I exposed them, and she claimed I wouldn't get others sick if I exposed them, as she claimed, so I had no choice but to do as she said. In time, Mother too stopped visiting me, and the only people I saw were servants. They did their job, but refused to look me in the eye. No one else came to see me though. Not Amy, not Deitler, or George. 1 month passed, then 2, then 3. Occasionally the pain in my joints would withdraw, at other times it would worsen. Whether I would drift off to sleep, I would hear the sound of my joints creaking. I would dream of a woman standing in the courtyard, her soft chestnut hair fluttering in the wind as she twirled to face me, a smile on her face and her breast exposed. One day, after around 6 months of servants refusing to make eye contact, I stopped one and made a request to have a mirror brought to my room. While he didn't acknowledge me, the next day I had my mirror. By that point, I was fairly certain I knew what was happening to my body. I had no clothes to wear, because none of the multicolored dresses hanging in my wardrobe would fit me anymore. Pulling the heavy red cloth covering the mirror aside, my completely naked body came into view. You were a guy. Ah. Something resembling a mix of chuckle and sigh of pity spilled from my lips. This is me. 6 months. After only 6 months' time, I could hardly recognize myself. Extending my hand for the mirror, I traced the outline of my bony reflection. My shoulders lacked Mother's curve, and my skin Amy's sheen. I was pale and haggard, but structurally I looked like my brother. Obviously, being younger than them, I had not as active. My muscles lacked any kind of strength. But I wouldn't have bat an eye if I saw myself holding a sword. I was a I was a full head taller than I had been 6 months earlier. I felt an odd certainty that I wasn't done growing either. Staring at myself in the mirror, I traced my name across the surface. Michel. I don't need the last two. Michel. The French is the French version. Oh, it's the French version of Michael. Ah. For the first time in my life, I liked my name. I still didn't think an angel name suited me one bit. But it was staggering how different it felt now, even if it sounded exactly the same. Those last two letters changed the meaning entirely, turning it from a girl's name to a boy's name. This now makes sense. Everything was falling into place. My admiration for Diddler, the envy I had for my brother's bodies, the feeling that I had for Amy, the indecent dreams I had been having. I was always male. I cackled like a fool for the first time in my life. I laughed so hard at the sight of myself, my stomach hurt. It was the first glimmer of light I had seen in the locked room for far too long. This was what I was supposed to look like. My life up until 6 months ago, constricted and uncomfortable. My life as a girl was a lie. No one could possibly look at me and call me an angel. I was always a boy, but I had been told I was a girl, forced to act like one. Of course that wouldn't feel right. They needed to know. I couldn't be the only one who understood. Everyone in this house needed to know. Fueled by this one desire, I wrapped the sheet over my shoulders and threw open my door. It seemed ridiculous how long I had followed Mother's instruction and remained cooped up in my room. And now I felt fantastic. Fantastic. If there truly was a God in heaven, then this change within me was his answer to my prayers. A man servant carrying a tray of food did a double take as I passed him. The farther I proceeded through the corridors, the more eyes I felt on me. The midday sun shone obnoxiously bright through the windows. But now, with its piercing radiation illuminating my proper self, I felt an odd affection for the light. I could hear the family gathering in the great hall, everyone but me. Diddler's voice complained about the simple meals the church provided, but his pride came through in his laughter. George's voice playfully bragged about life at the royal court. Father's voice informed everyone his investments had borne fruit, and with the money he had purchased several new estates. Mother's voice was distinctively less bright than the rest of the family. She gave vague, empty indications she was listening, though mostly stayed out of the conversation. Amy's voice sang her praises to George, her beloved husband. Never mind the fact she was sleeping with Diddlers. How did you know that? You just saw them out in the field one day and then you assumed that they're cheating. It was all a facade. Facade. A mere shadow of the family. It's a shame Michel couldn't be here. Then we would have everyone. I was there. I was right there. I hadn't gone anywhere, you just locked me in my room. I hope she recovers soon and I was never sick at all. The child you named Michel was actually his son. That was all there was to it. Huh? What? Everyone gazed concentrated on me. I gave them all a quick glance, and then with my deepened voice I said, I am cured. I was cured since 6 months ago. Who are you? Surely you haven't forgotten my face, have you? Father. Michel. Michel! This boy is Michel! A wave of chatter spread through the halls. Mother went pale. Father objected. Diddler stared. George gaped. Amy watched cautiously, fear in her eyes. What a farce. They were the ones who had wrongly decided I was a girl. What's going on? Someone tell me what's the meaning of this? You were dressing your son up like a girl, Mother. I assumed he was a girl. Otherwise I would have... I put my hand on him like that. You lied to me. I would never agreed to it if I had known. No, you're wrong. She's Michelle, my daughter, no. You call that a girl? All these months I was worried because you had said he was sick. But that was a lie. You couldn't pass him off as a girl anymore, so you lock him up in his room. Is that what this is? And you could have just stayed there. What possessed you to show yourself now? Stop that. Don't look at me. Don't give me that look. You said you can tell what's going through my mind, didn't you? Well, then you should know exactly how I feel about you right now. Don't be so damn full of yourself. I have no interest in a whore like you. Whoa, like you. So why don't you go cry into Diddler's arm? You. What? Huh? What are you talking about? Why Diddler, not me? What? Hey, anyone want to explain that for me? What had once been a nice family meal was now utter chaos. For the briefest moment I felt sorry for George, but that was whisked away almost immediately. There was a crash from the table, and all dishes fell, shattering against the floor. Cursed! A chilling darkness oozed from her voice. She's cursed! She was my daughter. I saw it with my own eyes. I gave birth to her. She was a girl. Michelle was a girl. No, she wasn't. A malevolent curse had been placed on her. When Mother lifted her head, I had difficulty believing that was the same woman who had sat by my bedside as I lay sick, sacrificing sleep to care for me. Her hair was a frazzled mess, and deep creases covered her face. Restrain her! Throw her in her room and lock the door. She's a girl. A girl. She was a girl. I swear it. You're just mad. Open your eyes. Do I sound like a girl? Do I look anything like a girl? Mother's cries sent me into a frenzy. I ripped the sheet off my shoulders, throwing it to the floor. I am not a girl! And shouted. Eek. Restrain her! Please, someone restrain her! Fear resided in the great hall. But then several moments of icy silence were broken by a muttering that shocked me as much as anyone else. You're not a boy or a girl. What on earth are you? You're an abomination. If you're not a boy, are you like... You're not a boy. You're an abomination. I'm... What? I've seen myself in the mirror. I was undoubtedly male. Lacking in strength, though they may have been, I had visible muscles. My chest was flat and I was taller than a girl should be. My voice was deep and I had an obvious lump in the middle of my throat. I was a male. I had to be male. What else could I be? So why was Amy looking at me like I'm some kind of strange creature? A chill ran down my spine. I suddenly found myself deeply uncomfortable being so exposed. There was nothing there. You got nothing there. Nothing there. I didn't understand what she was talking about. So I pressed further. I fell silent, at which point several servants burst into the halls and restrained me. She's a girl, she's my daughter. Mother, seemingly in a mad daze, she repeated the same thing over and over. She was a girl! No. As Mother wailed, she wandered off somewhere. Father stood there in silence. Amy stared at me with disgust in her eyes. George was still in a panic, and Diddler clenched his fists. Eventually, I started regaining my composure, which is then I realized I had made a mistake. My sickness had been made into a curse. What? I was once more caged up in my room. In addition to the door being locked from the outside, the windows were boarded over so no one could see in, leaving me in perpetual darkness. I received no visitors except the servants, and again none of them would look me in the eye. Every day was the same, day in and day out, day in and day out. The only time the routine changed was when, on occasion, a servant would arrive bearing a letter. It was my mother's handwriting on the parchment. We lived in the same house, yet she refused to show herself before me. I had no choice but to respond to her letters. She demanded I speak like a girl, and that I didn't have the strength to defy her. There was a constant sense of urgency to her letters, like she might fall apart completely at any second. And so I did as she said. With each letter, Michel, the female name she bestowed upon me at birth, which I so despised. Every time I used that name, I felt like I was denying my own identity. On paper, she expressed her concern for me, but that concern only served to cause me more pain. Every time I took my quill in my hands trembled. Mother, I prayed daily that my curse might one day be broken. Am I cursed? Is that why my body changed? Was it not because I was male? There was nothing there. What did she mean by that? You probably didn't have reproductive organs. Why did she look at me the way she did? How am I an abomination? Why, I don't understand. Someone, anyone, please tell me. Someone, please. You could look at your own body, right? You have a mirror. Probably not light, but I brought you supper. I'll be back shortly to retrieve your dishes. I'll be going then. Wait. What? Wait a minute. Yes. What do you need, Michel? Are you a man or a woman? Pardon? Which are you? I am exactly what I appear to be. Which are you? I am a man. If that's all, I'll be going now. Clothes off. What? Oh. What? Take off your clothes right now. Everything. Even your underclothes. Well, surely you jest, Michel. I am very serious. I could possibly not. I could not possibly. Why not? I cannot expose myself. I order you take off your clothes. You mean to humiliate me? I beg you, please reconsider. What are you? A servant of the Boganer's estate. And what am I? I am the child of the Boganer's family. I may be locked up, imprisoned in his room, but that doesn't make you any less of my servant. Am I wrong? Clothes off. Michel, I order you to take off your clothes. Damn. Not even the tiniest sliver of guilt arose in my conscience. I felt no shame in what I was doing. All that mattered to me was figuring out what Amy had meant. I wanted to find the truth. Not knowing, I would have been better off in the dark. His face twisted in humiliation. The servant undressed before me. In the dim candlelight, the man's body was shaped almost like a rectangle. And at a glance, he didn't appear much different than me. A second later, though, I found my answer. I found the one crucial thing he had that I didn't. Why? My lower body lacked that part that made a man a man. Are you satisfied, Michel? It was then I finally learned what a man's body was supposed to look like. I'm begging you, please allow me to dress. It will be unbearable shame to remain unclothed any longer. Before the young Boganer's daughter. Oh my god. Daughter. He still insists in calling me a damn girl. Look at these shoulders and my chest. Listen to my voice. How can you possibly think any of that belongs to a girl? But how you appear does not. There was a distinct look of fear in the maidservant's eyes. Not out of respect for our difference in rank, but out of disgust for the incomprehensible thing standing there before him. Those trembling eyes, and the reality dangling there before me, blew the lid once more off everything I had been holding back. Without that, you wouldn't be no different than me. What? Everything else is all the same. So why does it make such a difference that you have one and I don't? Michel, I am a man. I'm a man just like you. I am no one's daughter. And if you still insist that we're not the same, then I'll make you like me. Oh, what? Huh? Without that, you're no different than me. It was a mix of dread and panic that pushed me over the edge. And so, in order to keep myself afloat, I decided to bring another pain. Please, don't do this, Michel. In a blind frenzy, I hardly even aware of what I was doing. Just riding the current of my erupting emotions. I swiped a knife off the tray the man had brought and knocked him down, climb onto him. I'll get rid of it. I'll make you the same. Without it, you'll be just like me. Get off me, please. Someone help. Seriously, what the fuck are you doing? I'll make you just like me. Get in there, anyone, someone. Michel. She's delirious. Through the fog of hysteria, I suddenly realized I was surrounded by several servants, and the next thing I knew, I was on the floor beneath them. There were as many, if not more of them, when I had made the scene in the great hall. A dozen of men servants stared down at me, their eyes filled with fear and revulsion. And in the shadows beyond the crowd, I saw Mother looking in on me with vacant eyes. Mother. Mother, why? Why will you only speak to me through letters? Why do you say I am cursed? Mother, I am a male. I was always male. Tell me that I am, Mother. Let me out of here, please. I am not delirious, my head is perfectly clear. I am normal, there is nothing wrong with me. I am not cursed. Mother, say something. Mother! After that, I was shut in my room again. And even the servants stopped coming. Push! I pushed and I shoved and I pulled and I pounded with all my strength, but the door and windows still wouldn't bulge. I think this video is long enough, and I think I could stop here, so I'm stopping here. Demon Child. Okay, that's the name of this chapter.